Good morning. My name is Jane. I'm with Scraptastic Yarns. Why Scraptastic Yarns? I had a couple of questions this week about why the name. No, I'm not a yarn dyer. But when I decided to start my channel, I was looking around and I thought, I'm going to name it. Someone was telling me that I should name it what I always talk about when I'm handed a bag of scraps. That's Scraptastic. Because I think you can take any pattern in the world, use scraps, and make it beautiful. I see a lot of people who, if they don't have a full skein of yarn, won't attempt making a scarf, a hat. And I'm one of those people that I'm like, give me 6 balls of yarn, I can make you a hat out of that, even if they're that little. So that's kind of how I fell into the name of Scraptastic Yarns. So no, we're not a yarn company. I do, however, make bags that I sell for people who would like to keep their projects in a nice, tidy little thing. And that's about all that it is that I do differently. I do sew, quilt, crochet, knit, loom knit. I do a little bit of everything, beading. So yeah, that's kind of what I've done for a lot of things is I get my hands into it and I go, full gung-ho, the whole thing. I can't do just a little bit of craft and move on. I have to learn it. So I've been doing that. Now I will tell you, I'm gonna get a drink. Allergies are bad for me this year. Ragweed is really up this time in my neighborhood. And it is one of my worst nightmares. So, anyway, that's a little bit about how I came to the name of Scraptastic Yarns. Now we're going to move on with the rest of the show. I don't have very many finished items. However, I do have a couple of whips, but I'm only going to show you one of them. The other two are the knit along, crochet along top that I had started the workshop for. Just haven't got back to it. And I'll explain why a little bit later on. And you'll get to see why. But my husband and I went grocery shopping. And we decided to go up to State College, which is someplace we've always enjoyed going to shop. And while we were there, the Walmart, down the clearance aisle, they had some yarn. And I picked up Red Heart with Love in the metallic. That beautiful sparkle. This is the royal. But I didn't pick up one. I picked up 2. And I was ready to move on. My husband has said to me, what are you going to do with those? I said, I'm going to make a hat and most of a scarf with that maybe. He goes, well, why don't you get the 3rd one? I said, there's another one? So he reaches down further and he pulls up the 3rd, and there were only 3, and I took all 3. Figure I'll be able to do a nice little set with that, don't you think? The whip that I have is a modern granny shawl, and this is one of Fiber Spider's. Sorry about that. Hit the camera. Hope you enjoyed that little ride. And it is the modern granny shawl. He took the modern granny blanket and turned it into a shawl, which I'm absolutely thrilled. I'll leave a link down to that below. And I'm going to sneeze. Maybe not. Don't you hate those when it just runs up to the end of your nose and then backs off? Drives me nuts. Can we talk about what's going on in the world today? I wish our politicians would quit blaming everything on COVID, pent up, whatever. What's going on today is just plain ugly. Um, and I find it admirable of our police departments who are out there every day with these buffoons that are screaming, yelling at them, calling them names, day after day, right up in their face, being asshats, quite frankly. What other profession has to put up with idiots like these guys do? I'm not talking about those people that are just protesting mildly. You know, this weekend I was kind of laughing because they were showing a clip from, I think it was New York City, where this gay, I don't know if it's transgender or whatever, in the little tutu skirt, hair pulled back, was screaming and yelling at the police about uneducated, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, you're the uneducated fool. Most police departments have 2 to 4 years of criminal justice studies behind them. Close to 2 years of training as a police officer, plus some other additional training, and they constantly go for training. So, you people that are screaming and yelling at them about uneducated, you need to educate yourself. There's a lot that goes into people being law enforcement. So, yeah, I just wish that kind of stuff would stop, because they really are not the enemy. And statistically, there are more whites killed by police than there are blacks. Yeah, I mean, you can look up the numbers. And the numbers were sky high under the Obama administration. But over the past 2-3 years, they've really come down quite a bit, with some more effective training. And you know, our police officers don't get a whole lot of training with mentally ill. But I'm going to say this. If you're armed and you meet up with the police and you're being a jerk, you know, sometimes things happen. Gotta watch yourself. Gotta behave. America, we do have freedom, but you are expected to follow certain laws and use some common courtesy. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of that in these days. So, I don't mind people who protest peacefully, but when you're screaming and yelling at police officers, poking them in the face and on the chest and everything else, no. No. You're the idiot. So, and now we've got this culture cancel culture. The funniest thing I've seen is them calling for the canceling the play Hamilton for its ties to slavery. You know, this is the left eating its own, which sometimes is quite hilarious. But now they've got these lists of words they want you can no longer use, like master bedroom, blacklist, blackballed, the masters, you know, the golf. Well, you know, back in the day there were guilds. And guilds were these elite little groups that were formed by masters of trades. Yeah. Not like slave masters, but masters of trades. They knew their work, they knew their skill, they knew their trade, left right in and out. They were the masters. So, I don't know what words we're going to be able to use anymore if we keep this kind of stuff up. But it's getting crazy. Now, I am going to insert a little video here about my sewing room and what I have been doing. After we got groceries Saturday, I had every intention of working a little further on my sewing room. And you're going to see why. No judgment, please, but it is total disaster. And in that sewing room, it also houses a lot of things we've collected over the years. So, since I decided that I needed to restructure the sewing room, get everything put in its place, that kind of stuff, I am also going through those things and donating them to Goodwill. I know a lot of people don't like Goodwill. I have issues with Goodwill because the amount of money they pay the special needs people. Here in Pennsylvania, they can get away with paying them like 32 cents an hour to work. I don't think that's right. But Goodwill is the only place that's open and taking things at the moment. So that is where a lot of this is going to go. If I knew people that needed it, I would just give it to them. But there aren't a lot of groups that need a lot of these things that I am purging in this room. So here's a clip. Don't judge me. Saturday afternoon I had planned on coming in and starting, but after we'd been out, it was so hot. We ate lunch, I sat down in my chair and took a 4-hour nap. I hadn't slept the night before, so apparently things got situated and done differently. So yes, I did get started on it. It is still a mess. It is still a long progress to go to get it done and cleaned up, but here's the clip. See the disaster area? This is my task today, to work on this and get it cleaned up, because it's no longer a happy place. Can't find anything. Everything's a disaster. It's a mess. So I need to start cleaning up, and that's my task. Okay, now, has everybody gotten their email from Bluprint? I hope so, because Bluprint has told us there's good news. We are still going to have our subscriptions, classes, and our Bluprint information and things like that, because TN Marketing has purchased some of the assets of the classes, so those things will be continuing. And what I found interesting is they also included a letter from the TN Marketing CEO, so I'm going to read that to you. I'm Cal Franken, the CEO of TN Marketing and the new CEO of the wonderful Bluprint community. We are eager to serve you with new and exciting content, and just as importantly, keep the subscriptions and classes you purchased over the years available for you to enjoy. The TN Marketing and Bluprint community combined will now represent over 3 million hobbyists with over 17 million crafting classes sold, and will continue as the leader in the crafts and hobbies education space. And that comes from Cal Franken, their CEO. There was more to the letter, but I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. So I went and looked up TN Marketing. They have a lot of classes that do with bowling, railroad hobbyist, photography, I think weaving, quilting, quite a few other things like that. Now, I haven't delved in further to see what those classes were and who they offer them through, whether it is actually TN Marketing or someplace, like Skillshare or Creative Bug or whatever. So I haven't done that part of the research. I'm going to do a little bit more because I'd like to see what some of those other classes are that they have offered in the past. So I'm looking forward to that. Hope you guys are too. I'm glad I don't have to find a way to download all my classes. which would mean buying about 7 iPads. And that gets expensive. And now we're going to move on to what in Tarnation. This next one is a rather interesting story. Nebraska farmer drains pond, finds ATM. Can you imagine finding an ATM? A Nebraska farmer draining a pond on his property for maintenance made a surprising and unusual discovery: an ATM dumped in the water. Wynn Hall of Exeter said he started the process of draining the pond, which is used for pumping waters off of his fields, and checked on it the following morning. Hall said he initially thought the object stuck in the mud was a household appliance. I thought, who would throw a refrigerator or a stove, put it in the pond? In fact, the deepest part of the pond. Why would it be down there? Hall said it wasn't until he took a photo of the object that he was able to identify it. I took a picture and zoomed in on it and thought, that looks like an ATM. Farmer said he doesn't know how long the ATM was in his pond since he didn't drain it in 2019. But it didn't appear to have been in the water for more than a few weeks. Hall contacted the Fillmore County Sheriff's Office, who sent a team to haul the ATM away. Deputies told him the ATM had been recently stolen in the area. The ATM wasn't the only unusual item to turn up in a body of water recently, and I told you about this story about a South Carolina boy that was magnet fishing and pulled up a large metal item, which happened to be the safe from his neighbor that was stolen from his neighbor's home 8 years earlier. Oh my. Gotta get another drink. The allergies are bad for me this week. I've been coughing and sneezing like a crazy woman. Escaped pigs caused traffic chaos in Virginia highway. Authorities in Virginia said a group of large pigs caused lane closures and long traffic backups when they escaped from a trailer and went running loose on the interstate. Kelly Hannon, Virginia Department of Transportation spokeswoman, said the first reports came in about 1 p.m. of loose hogs running through traffic on Interstate 95 in Spotsylvania County, about 2 miles south of the Thornburg exit. Surprise witnesses captured video of pigs weaving between vehicles in the roadway. The Virginia State Police said the pigs escaped from a trailer being towed by an F-250 truck on the highway. Those are pretty big trucks. The driver of the truck was cited for failing to properly secure the livestock. Maybe they picked the lock, undid the gate. Oh, most of the hogs were rounded up and returned to the trailer near Thornburg exit, but one pig made it all the way across the county line in Carolina before being wrangled, which isn't that far from Spotsylvania. I've been down there. Police said they closed lanes of traffic while rounding up the pigs, leading to traffic backup stretching about 2 miles once the scene was cleared. That area, it's a rather interesting area. I had gone out to Pungo